Thank you for tuning in to MacroView Television and welcome to a brand new edition of Taiwan Outlook, the program that presents the people and their stories on Taiwan. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. The winner of the 2015 Hult Prize is a team of IMBA students from the National Chengchi University here in Taiwan. On today's program, we're delighted that we get the chance to meet two of them. To my immediate left, he is Juan Diego Prudot, who's originally from Honduras, and he's currently the CTO of IMPCT. Welcome to our program, JD.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. As you said, my name is Juan Diego.
Yes.
You can call me JD.
Okay.
I come from Honduras with a software engineering background.
Good.
And finished my MBA here in Taiwan.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And next to JD is Taylor Scobbie. Who's currently the CEO of IMPCT. Welcome, Taylor.
Yeah. So nice to be here. It's a beautiful studio, and can't wait to get into the conversation.
Okay, good. We're looking forward to that as well. First, tell us a little bit about the two of you. We already mentioned that, JD, you're from originally Honduras.
Yes.
And Taylor, you're originally from Canada. And why did the two of you decide that you want to, come to Taiwan and pursue an IMBA?
Well, in my case, Taiwan and Honduras have very good relations. So
Exactly.
they provide a lot of help to my country, and also they provide scholarships.
Good.
When I found out about the scholarship program and how good the IMBA program was, I immediately decided to apply. So I read a lot about Taiwan, and I had some friends that had come here with a scholarship as well.
Okay.
That the people were nice, the country was nice.
Okay.
The Chinese was challenging, but I wanted to take on that challenge.
Of course.
So that's the way how it all
got started. Yes. How about you, Taylor?
For me, it was a little bit different. I actually have kind of family ties here a little bit. My aunt and uncle lived here for 10 years when I was young.
Oh, really?
And I always heard amazing stories about Taiwan.
Okay.
And,
But you never been to
I had
Taiwan?
never been. But they always brought back little gifts, and I was always really intrigued. Okay. So I was kind of working back in Canada, didn't like my job so much, needed a change, and I thought, well, let's go to Taiwan.
Not? Yes,
yeah.
of course.
And the MBA was just a great kind of thing to do here in Taiwan. And the scholarship from the government let it happen. So.
All right. And the two of you studied at the National Chengchi University from 2013 to 2015. During the 2 years, how was your life as a student on campus?
Well,
JD?
we just been talking about this. It was different from Taylor and I because I used to live in the dormitories.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and as you know, Chengchi is a little bit far from the city. So it's different. There you get more a natural life. I would go out and ride the bike or climb up the mountain, go hiking.
Yes.
But it was generally very, very nice. And Taylor was living more close to the city.
I had an expensive apartment in Da'an, right by the park.
Good for you.
So yeah, because for me, moving to Taipei was a lifestyle thing as well as an education thing.
Exactly.
So I thought, live in the middle of the city, but amazing though. I love it.
Since neither of you had been to Taiwan prior to the commencement of your studies, what was your impression of Taiwan when you first arrived back in 2013?
Well, I was very impressed how polite the people were, how everything was in order, everybody followed the rules, and how clean. And it still amazes me today, the MRT, how it keeps so clean and with so many people going back through every day.
Yes.
So it definitely has been a very good experience to come here.
Good. How about you, Taylor?
I was really taken with how vibrant Taipei is. I mean, Canada's a place with lots of suburbs, lots of space.
Canada, excuse me?
I'm from Western Canada, from Calgary.
Oh, good.
So, you drive everywhere, everybody has huge houses, and there's not a lot of stuff on the street. But you come to Taipei, you walk down any street in the city, and there's restaurants and there's shops, and it's so
very
amazing.
Convenient.
Exploring is great, right?
Yes.
It's the best.
Okay. And how has your impression of Taiwan or Taipei changed in the last 2 years? You've been here 2 years plus. What were some of the things you felt that, pretty much stayed the same? What were some of the things you felt were a little different than first arrived? Taylor?
In some ways, I'm still just as happy with Taipei as the first day I arrived. I really, really love it here. I love the lifestyle. I love the people. For me, nothing has changed for the worse, certainly.
Okay.
I think I've just come to appreciate the culture a little bit more. I think when you come initially, there are a lot of things that are a little bit foreign to somebody like me from Canada.
Yes.
And now I understand some of the intricacies, not all of them, but so my understanding is evolving over time.
Okay. Let me ask you, did you guys take Chinese lessons, Mandarin lessons? How's your Mandarin
I shouldn't
coming
answer
along?
this one. JD can answer for both of us.
Okay.
I did take lessons, and I can speak a little bit.
You're very modest.
I can.
he just gave a speech.
It's a difficult language, I must say.
3 days ago, he gave a speech in Chinese to the Ministry of Education.
Terrific. All right.
It's the first time I did it. So
yes.
My plan is to keep improving.
Okay. And JD, I have the next question for you. You were the one who organized the impacting.
Yes.
And why did you organize the impacting? And why did you decide to participate in the Hult Prize competition?
Well, one of my goals when coming here is exploring new opportunities, exploring new challenges. So I came here with that mindset. And during the IMBA program, the school gets invited to many of these competitions.
Okay.
So I knew I was certain I wanted to participate in one of them.
Okay.
And then when I started looking into which competitions were available, Hult Prize was it's the largest one in the world.
Yes.
And it has a social purpose. So that was really compelling. And then I spoke to Taylor and I spoke to Anne and Andres, and they felt the same way. They were really excited to get started.
Okay.
Along the way, I'm sure they regretted it a little bit when they saw the amount of work at some point.
But the work, paid off.
Of course,
But you don't know that as it's happening.
Of course, as it was progressing. No, of course.
Because JD promised me that this was going to be 50 or 100 hours. He said 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it's been about 2,000 hours now.
Ever since.
Yeah.
Okay. I also understand that beginning with the 4 people on the team, that the impact team also went through some changes. For example, at the beginning, it wasn't called the impact team. You were called Roots.
Yes.
Why the name change, JD?
Well, as part of the whole process, actually, we try to keep reinventing ourselves. Okay. There's a lot of iterations that go into this, and we got to be flexible and open to that, because that's the way we get to improve. We started, actually, before Roots, we had another name, which was Teach.
Teach.
And then it was Roots.
All right. And now Impact.
Impact.
Without the A.
Exactly. So we thought that we changed it after Dubai. And after Dubai, I don't know if you know that we lost in Dubai.
Yes.
Then we came back and wanted to reinvent ourselves. So come back stronger and fresher. So we said a name change and a brand name change would be good for us.
Okay.
And we wanted to make an impact.
Of course.
That name sounded suitable.
We just exchanged business cards before the taping started. And on the back of the business card, it says 3 concepts: invest, build, and educate. Taylor, elaborate on those, please.
We wanted to come up with something really snappy to kind of explain to people exactly what we do. And that's exactly what we do. We let people invest in schools, we build schools, and then we teach kids.
Okay.
It was kind of a very nice, easy way to encapsulate the impact concept.
Okay.
And so now that's our little tagline on all of our websites and business cards and everything.
Okay. If I may ask the 2 of you, how did you come up with this, concept of investment in education in urban slums? I mean, where did that idea come from? You could have done one of 1,000 different projects, but why this one? JD?
Well, again, I cannot tell you like a specific point where we came up with the idea.
Okay.
Because it's like a whole
it's
continuous
an ongoing process. Yes.
Exactly. So we had at the beginning very different ideas. At some point, we included microcredits. Back in Honduras, my family runs a software business, and we work with microcredit institutions. Good. So I know about that. Okay. And then we had something with microcredit, and along the way, Taylor came up with this idea of microequity. Instead of providing loans, he said, how can we allow people to invest? Okay. Then we started looking into that, the opportunities, what was out there, what could be done. And we saw that there's a lot of things to be done still, so we saw an opportunity there.
Good. And Taylor, I would suppose a lot of people like yourselves, the 2 of you, came from a different country coming to Taiwan for the IMBA. Maybe in the course of the program, people were thinking of, hey, where am I going to get a good job, good paying job,
of course,
after the program is over? And when JD approached you about this, concept to be part of this Hult Prize competition, what was going through your mind?
Certainly not that this was going to be a high-paying job. No. I wasn't thinking about the money, that's for sure.
No, okay.
No, I mean, for me, it was really, it's a chance to give back.
Okay.
Born in Canada, you're given a lot. I mean, coming to Taiwan, this is also a place where most people are pretty well off. And I think you kind of have to take the gifts that you've been given and use them to give back to people who need them.
Okay.
And for me, the IMBA was an eye-opening thing because we have a lot of classmates from El Salvador, from Honduras, from Swaziland, Africa.
Yes.
Places I had never been to, never heard anything about. And when you hear them talk about how it is back home in their countries, the challenges that exist, I knew when this Hult Prize thing came up that would be my opportunity to do a little bit something for that.
All right. And when you guys come up with the idea and you want to do the Hult Prize competition, what was the reaction from friends around your family? They say, hey, Taylor, Mom and Dad paid a lot of money for you to go out there, and you want to do something not for, the pay. I mean, what was their reaction?
My parents are amazingly supportive.
Good.
Yeah, I think my mom especially always kind of knew that I was going to do something NGO charity related. She always thought that was my path. Okay. And when I told her this is what I was doing, she was like, yeah, I know. I know. You have to do this. You're going to go. But it was funny because I'm very confident from the very beginning, from when we first started. I would tell everybody we're going to win.
Okay.
And this is a competition with 21,000 teams, and people said, "No, you're crazy. You're not going to win."
Okay.
There you go.
And JD?
Well, in my case, as I said earlier, we have a family business back in Honduras. Yes. So my plan was completely different. I planned to come here, get my MBA degree, go back to Honduras, and run the business. That was my father's plan as well. He was counting on that.
Yes.
But then when I told him about this competition, I mean, he couldn't be happier. Okay. Yeah, he was very excited about it. My family has been following the whole process, and they feel very proud.
Yes. And looking back, of course, on the decision that you guys made about, a year ago, it certainly was a turning point. I'm sure it's going to be a turning point, not just in terms of a career, but also in terms of your lives ahead. All right? I want to ask the two of you. Taylor, you're the CEO, and then JD, you're the CTO. What are the responsibilities that each one of you have, on the impact team? Taylor?
So I think the answer in some ways is I do the jobs nobody else wants to do.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like everything from cooking meals for the team to, handling the legal stuff, dealing with lawyers, the banks, hiring. Okay. Not firing yet. I hope that doesn't have to happen.
Right. How big is the team now?
Well, the team is, I guess we have 5 people now. We added one girl in Guatemala who's actually building our first school in Guatemala right now.
Terrific.
But over the next 3-4 months, we hope to have another 5 or 6.
Okay.
I think.
Good.
So,
yes. Oh, yeah. And JD, what do you do as CTO?
Well, right now, because we're a small team, so we don't separate the tasks very clearly.
Of course.
We all still get together in a room and try to
brainstorm
a lot of things. Yes. But as CTO, I'm going to be in charge of the web platform. That's going to allow people anywhere to invest in our schools, which we call Players. That's that bridge, how we connect the people that want to help and the people that need.
Okay. But I would imagine that when the things, really get in place, that you're going to need a bigger team than what you have now. Yes.
Definitely.
Especially that will be a very important platform for people to get to know about your project, your concept. If they can, they want to make a contribution. So what are some of the things that you plan to do in addition to adding people? But how are you going to, promote the concept? How are you going to make sure that people in different parts of the world will read about you?
The platform itself, like you said, it's not only a technological component, it also has to be with the marketing as well and how we raise awareness. Yes. So that's how we get people to know about impact and also about how important early childhood education is. Yes. So it's a mechanism to build awareness. For example, us, before the Hult Prize, we didn't know how important early childhood education is. And like that, a lot of people around the world do not know how important it is. Okay. So we have to do a lot of marketing, branding, getting it out there so that people get to know us.
All right. And the whole team, the impact team, came together roughly a little more than a year ago, I would imagine. And did you organize the team, JD, solely for the purpose of the Hult Prize competition? Or is it that you looking on the longer term perspective because the 4 of you are in the IMBA program together? Maybe you share, same values, same projection for the future. Then, you felt that, organizing a team, forming an enterprise together, that you can do some, serious contribution in the future. What was the original motivation?
Well, the way it starts is you could say it's sort of artificial. because it's a competition and it has requirements. So it was basically putting a team of people together that hadn't worked as a team together, right? So at the beginning, it's more like a small decision to say, let's jump into this without knowing the real implications. But along the way, as we start working on it, we need to ask ourselves, and we did ask ourselves, do we really want to do this? Do we want to do this for the long term?
Yes.
So that was a very critical point along the way. When we asked ourselves, do we want to do this? Everybody said yes, and that's how we kept going forward.
Okay. And that comes from...
We had very different paths, I think, before this. I mean, the four of us definitely weren't on converging paths at all. You know, I had a job here in Taipei. JD had his family business back home.
Good.
And family business as well, and Andres his own plans. And this really brought us together and pushed us towards this path.
Okay.
So very much changed the way that we were thinking about our careers.
Yeah. And let me ask the two of you, since you're coming from very different backgrounds, and maybe you were all thinking about different things when the IMBA is over, then you know, I mean, what were some of the factors that motivated you or get all of you involved in social business? You know, this is not something that a lot of people your age with your background would think, hey, this is the first thing I want to do upon graduation.
You know, I think kids are not kids, people like us,
younger people,
are increasingly thinking about social business as a career option. I think times are changing, really. I think people are becoming a little bit disillusioned with traditional careers, and they're looking to things like social business as a remedy for that. For us, I think our motivations changed over time a little bit. I mean, personally, the motivations I had going into this were, I can travel, we can go to Dubai, I can meet some people, networking will be great, looks good on the resume. You know, all the shallow reasons, right? But then you do the research and you start working on the project and you see the results, and something deeper happens. There's this deep connection to the topic.
Good.
And we've really come to care about education as a vital need for society now through this.
All right. And JD, even though your father is very supportive of the Hult Prize competition, but I mean, did you tell him that you want to do this social business maybe on a longer term?
Well, along the way when we saw, because my motivations at the beginning were similar to Taylor's, I thought we didn't know that we were going to get this far. We said at the very least it's going to be a learning experience. And that's how we saw it. But then along the way, of course, I told him, well, this is what I would be doing after I graduate. And they were very supportive with it.
And I want to ask the two of you next about some of the concepts that you're able to put into your project. For example, Taylor, you have the concept of microequity in the, the project design itself. Why, and would you mind first explaining to us what microequity is?
Sure. Microequity is, we kind of call it just a demand dividend investment now. But microequity is the idea that very, very small businesses, even informal businesses in the urban slums, can have investors like an enterprise. And this kind of came out of the idea that there's a better way to finance small businesses. Right now in the urban slums, microloans are the standard. But microloans have 40, 50, 60% interest rates. Imagine starting a business with a 60% interest rate. No business succeeds, right?
Overhead is too much.
Yeah, so when we were thinking, how do we build schools? How do we finance schools? We looked at the existing options and said, none of these make any sense. Donations don't work. Microloans don't work. So we just needed to come up with something better. And I think this is kind of the heart of innovation, is there was a necessity for us to come up with a better financing method. And we came up with this idea of microequity to address the need.
And JD, you have anything to add? I mean, in terms of putting the project design together. I mean, we're going to talk a little later about organizing that trip to El Salvador. But before we get to that, what were some of the things going through your mind when you first thought about education in urban slums?
Well, in my case, when I learned how important it is and how you could actually change the trajectory of a person's life, help them be more productive, help them stay in school, earn more money, help their family. So I saw it as a pathway to help out my country, because it has a lot of problems with violence, with poverty. So investing in early childhood education is the path to overcome all of those issues. So I saw a way I could be a part of that solution and help out people in my country.
And thinking about the project itself, And now you have won the prize. How are you going to, what are the next steps? I mean, you already taken some steps. Of course, you got, more people involved in the project. How would you proceed with your project next?
So
Taylor?
I think what we're trying to do is platform development is the #1 thing, because this idea of an investment platform is central to our concept.
Yes.
But before we have the platform up and running, which is hopefully under the next year or so, we'd like to build 5 or 10 play cares, kind of, just to perfect the, I guess it's called a franchise model. Just to make sure that every play care we build in the future, we know exactly what to do, exactly how much it costs, protocols to run it. So when people do come on our platform to contribute investment capital, they know it's going to be safe and create the benefits that we say it's going to create.
Okay. And JD, you mentioned a little bit about marketing earlier in the program. And of course, about 2 months ago, when the CEO of a Hult Prize a competition was in town, then you guys received a lot of publicity. As a matter of fact, every time I travel MRT and going to Zhongxiao Fuxing, I see the pictures of the 2 of you or 4 of you, on the billboard. And then how would you promote and market the concept? As now you get the funding and you are putting things in place. What would be some of the things that you want to do in addition to what was mentioned by Taylor?
Well, actually, doing the play cares is one of the basic and critical things we have to do. Because that way we can show people that we're actually having impact, and that these play cares are running, making a difference precisely, and see the children that are going there and the families that are receiving the benefits of these play cares.
All right. And you have now 1 in Guatemala?
We have 1 in El Salvador running, and we're planning 1 more in Guatemala, 1 more in El Salvador.
Okay. And mostly in Central, Latin America? Do you plan to have, some of the, play care schools in Asia, for example?
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I was just in South Africa exploring opportunities there. Really looks like an amazing market for what we do. Great opportunities. But here we're trying to bring play cares to Taiwan as well. Because there's kind of an Aboriginal population here, often living in the mountains. And I was just reading that over half of the children under 6 don't have access to education in the Aboriginal tribes. So we'd like to adapt our concept to work for them as well.
Yeah, I remember when Anne was on the program 2 months ago, she mentioned about, some Aboriginal, tribes. In Taiwan, that's maybe one of the first targets that you guys are going to be putting the concept to work. What would be some of the things that you would like to see the market respond to the concept as you continue to market, to promote this notion? I mean, of course, the first thing is the contribution would start pouring in, and what would be some of the other indicators?
For me, I would like to see government respond more than the market respond. In some ways, social businesses like ours are a response to governments who aren't exactly doing their job perfectly.
Not doing enough.
Exactly. It's where governments have failed that social businesses like ours step in. And I always say, I want the government to put us out of business. I want the government to step up and build quality schools for all the people in its country. So, and we've already seen this happen a little bit. Every country that we go to and talk about play cares, we get calls from the government saying, hey, you're raising a lot of awareness about this issue, and now we have to take a little bit of action. And we can see the wheels already moving. The governments, like in the country, even here in Taiwan, the Ministry of Education, they're starting to come up with new initiatives for Aboriginal education. And so this is really, really encouraging for us. That, even before we've built a single school in Taiwan, just talking about the issue has created the government's kind of, given them this incentive to.
Exactly, and that is impact. Because I learned that you organize a trip, for your team members to travel to El Salvador, to understand the current conditions of urban slums as you were putting the project, the concept together. Tell us what you observed, what you have seen on that trip, please.
Andres is our teammate from El Salvador. He was actually the one that organized the trip. He made sure...
Made the arrangements
that we can move around. We stayed in El Salvador for 1 month. And both Andres and Anne hadn't been to El Salvador or countries like mine, like Honduras, which are very similar, the conditions that you can find there. So in El Salvador, we worked in a community, and you could see the difference. The community was right in front of a huge fancy mall. So you had the fancy mall on one side of the street, and then the other side of the street, you had this community with so many needs. The houses, you couldn't even call them houses. They're more like shacks, you know, barely standing. So it's a big contrast you could find and very close within the whole city. And a lot of needs and a lot of projects and things that could be done.
Okay. And Taylor, have you been to Central America before? I mean, before that trip.
I've been on a Caribbean cruise.
Oh,
that was my.
That doesn't count.
JD's laughing. He's like, "That's not."
Okay, no.
No, not real Central America.
Okay,
yeah, I've been to Mexico now.
All right. Since 3 members of your impact team never even been to places like what you mentioned in El Salvador, well, what was the impression? When you saw something like what JD said. A huge contrast, between the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
For me, it was a weird combination of. At once, I was a little bit shocked because, of course, the conditions are pretty
very
bad.
Poor.
But
yes.
when you start talking to people and walking around the community, you realize that it's very normal, actually. That they're exactly the same kind of people as you and I. They have the exact same problems. They want the same things. They want better lives for their kids and better jobs. And after a while, it felt almost comfortable in a way, because I think if you look on slums from the outside, you see them as places of, we say this, degradation, where people are just lazy and they're waiting for handouts. But it couldn't be farther from the truth. It's hardworking, normal people like you and I that just happen to get a unlucky draw in life. So that was really eye-opening for me.
Okay.
And this is also nice because our impact idea is that we can help these people build their own education businesses. And going in and seeing that they're just exactly like you and I really does a lot to kind of prop up the idea that they can run businesses just like you or I could.
Okay.
So very, very reassuring.
All right. So after the trip, did you think all 4 members of the team reinforced the concept, hey, education in urban slums is the area, is the target that we should strive for? Did you guys come to that consensus?
I think yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
All right.
It was before that, actually, I would say, because you read the research, and the consensus of all the research is crystal clear. Early education is the single best investment. In terms of the benefits it creates, it reduces future jail time for at-risk students and increases their income and their IQ. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And we kind of thought, normally governments invest in education, right?
Yes.
But we thought, why not let anybody invest in education? Because if you're looking for an impact investment opportunity, early education is the highest impact. And if we can give you a financial return as well, I mean, that's a good package.
Yes.
So.
And the great thing about these play cares that we establish, it's that they allow parents to go to work.
Okay.
So it's a double benefit in that sense.
Exactly.
Children are receiving education, and parents can go out there and perceive an income.
Yeah, the parents can concentrate on what they do,
Precisely.
and also the children will get better prospects for the future.
Precisely.
And Taylor, tell us a little more about this Play Care, early learning school in Antigua, El Salvador. This is one of the first, right? Tell us a little more.
That was our very first, our pilot school, we call it, in La Cuchilla in San Salvador.
Okay.
I guess what we wanted to do was build a little slice of, maybe what your kids would receive or our kids would receive in a place where you wouldn't expect it. So the school it's a brand new building, modern materials, a Montessori curriculum, which is, again, normally something that's just for very well. We kind of, again, it's amazing the contrast, because like JD said, this community is very challenged. Right across the road is the nicest part of San Salvador. It's like we took a very small part of the nicest part and put it right in the community. So we're really proud of what we did with the first Play Care.
Okay. And JD, you have anything to add to the first Play Care?
Yes, and with the first Play Care, we could actually see the change in some children. At the beginning, when we started building it, there were some children that, for example, were eating something, they finished and they would throw it in the garbage. But after weeks of being in the Play Care and knowing about rules and about how important is hygiene, and weeks later, I went back to the Play Care, and I saw a change in the children.
Good.
Children now followed orders. They said, thank you, please. So it's very nice to see in a short period of time the benefits.
That was very obvious, yes. And Taylor, now that you have received the Hult Prize money, $1 million US, how do you plan to use it and allocate it? please. You're the CEO.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I mean, we kind of thought the problems would end after the money came in, but it turns out that money creates far more problems than it solves. Currently, we have the $1 million basically budgeted out. We're trying to build 10 of our own play cares just to perfect the franchise model. Platform development is probably 30-40% of the $1 million. And then staff, office costs, administrative costs is going to be the other 33-40%.
All right.
So it's all spoken for.
All right. And JD, since you're going to get about 30-40% of the $1 million prize money, how do you plan to use it since you're the CTO?
Well, most of it is going to go into developing the platform. So that's salaries for developers. That's one of the things that why we wanted to do it in Taiwan, because there's a lot of good research people that are very good at technology.
Yes.
And building the platform, getting the equipment, the salaries, the hosting, the marketing, the platform, it's all going to go into that.
Okay. After marketing and promoting the ideas, you're going to next come to, some questions coming from people who might be intrigued by your concept, who might want to know more about it. And how then you able to convince them that education business, education investment in urban slums is the best investment opportunity. Somehow turning the creditors into business partners. How do you plan to convince people doing that, Taylor?
In some ways, I think the work has done itself a little bit because, like I said, the research is so clear about the benefits of early education. There are no equivalent investment opportunities on the market right now. You cannot go out there today and invest in a school, even though investing in a school is the best you can do with your money. So we're going to be a very first-to-market opportunity for this kind of investment. And we will be hiring marketing staff to take the message out there. To be honest, we already have about 70,000 people waiting to invest on the platform. Far more people than we could ever actually build schools to match. So response has already been amazing.
Good.
So right now it's actually a challenge of building the operations to building the schools, to match the demand.
Do you have any limitations or ceilings about how much people can invest?
We've discussed this internally quite a lot. I think it's going to be something that's fine-tuned once we do launch the platform because up front, it's hard to imagine what that means to have a floor or ceiling on investment amounts. One project is about $10,000 US. And honestly, we'd like to have multiple investors for that. The idea behind this platform is get as many people involved as we possibly can, because the more people that care, the quicker the problem gets solved.
All right.
So of course, one person could invest $10,000. We'd prefer more, though.
All right. And JD, let me ask you, along the way, and what were some of the challenges and difficulties that you have faced, in terms of putting the, project concept together, getting the team on board, and also continue the competition? And what have so far been some of the difficulties after you won the prize, and now you're moving forward?
Well, during the process, it was challenging to manage the time. We were doing our MBA program. Some of us were working. Thesis, doing impact. So it's very time-consuming. That was one of the challenges in doing a lot of things at the same time. Another big challenge for us was how do we present this model in 8 minutes in a way that we can convince people?
Of course.
Because that was what the whole prize presentation was about. In 8 minutes, you had to explain everything and convince people that that was the best solution. And after winning, one of the challenges is getting started with all the operations. A lot to do, from finding an office, from finding the next place where we build the play care, organizing the staff. So a lot of things to get this organization started.
Taylor?
I thought JD's answer was great there. I'd say for me the one challenge is the organization building aspect for sure. I think even though we all have MBA degrees, I have an undergraduate finance degree, they don't really teach you exactly how hard building an organization from the ground up is. Everything like, how do I open a bank account for that? This has been 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks of my life, opening a bank account. Legal issues about hiring staff. The minutia is very difficult, and this is the learning kind of hurdle we're jumping over right now.
And for the immediate, foreseeable future, you're going to be based in Taiwan.
Definitely, yeah. The low-cost developers, the great atmosphere, lifestyle, everything about Taipei.
Of skilled people that you need.
Perfect for startups.
All right. I'm going to ask the two of you. I mean, so far, from having the conversation with you, I can see that the past 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, certainly has been very, very international for the two of you. All right, you might have had some international exposures prior to coming to Taiwan, but certainly in the last 2 years, that the two of you were enrolled in an IMBA program, of which 50% of the students come from countries and places outside of Taiwan, and 50% are for local Taiwanese students. So you had that exposure to international environment, in the beginning part of the program. And then for the second half of the program, that you organized its impacting with 4 members coming from different cultures, different nationalities, different backgrounds. I mean, did that experience, that international experience, or working with people from different culture, different backgrounds and things, really help you in terms of putting the ideas together, and then also participate in the Hult Prize competition, one step at a time? JD?
Well, both in the IMBA program and at Impact, having people coming from different backgrounds, from different countries, helps be creative.
Yes.
Because people can come with different perspectives on how to approach a problem, different types of solutions. And in the end, you put everything together and you can come up with something really good.
Yeah.
At the beginning, of course, there's a lot of adjustment to do.
So right? Imagine.
Exactly.
Yes.
So one of the key things is communication. And communication not only in terms of saying things clearly, but also understanding each other's culture and understanding how each of us think as well.
Yeah.
Because that's the other part that's important. Yeah. Not only how I convey information, but also know how that person is used to receiving information.
Exactly.
And that has been one of the key things for us to be able to stay together and keep doing things together.
All right. And Taylor?
I'd say unquestionably, yes. The international atmosphere at the IMBA is primarily responsible for our success.
Okay.
I think, or at least for me, growing up in Canada, you don't know what an urban slum is. When I moved to Taiwan, I don't know what an urban slum is. I could not come up with a solution for urban slums without the knowledge that people like JD and Andres bring. So I think there's international is great for 2 reasons. People like me, we don't understand the problem.
No.
And I think people that have grown up near to the problem only understand the existing solutions. So you put the two together, and that's how you create real innovative solutions for these things. And that's kind of what this team let us do.
Okay. And I would suppose also during the competition process for the Hult Prize, your international background, adds that flavor, to your team, was also very helpful, because you not only had to go through the country competition, you have to go through regional, and finally, of course, the competition in New York. Did you think that, at which point that you really felt the 4 of you really gelled, it really came together? And then maybe not to the point that, with the blink of the eyes that you would know what the other guy is thinking. Maybe not yet to that point, but, up to a certain degree that you will understand how the other members are thinking about this particular problem or issue. JD?
What a thing that comes to mind is doing an online round. We did this crowdfunding campaign where we raised money for our pilot school.
Okay.
And at that point, it was about a month of constant work. We were working in a room 8-9 hours at a time. So at that point, each of us had different things to do, and we each targeted different things. For example, Taylor would speak to people in Canada and the U.S., and there's people in El Salvador, myself in Honduras, and Anne here in Taiwan. And each of us was doing interviews, talking to people, and each of us had different things. And that's one of the points I think it was very nice to see, having an international team that knows how to communicate and work together, because everybody was getting their part done, and in the end you get a very complete and integrated job.
Okay. And Taylor, anything you want to add about the competition process?
Yeah, I'd say no one moment comes to mind as like that kind of moment where everything was just perfect. It's still like it's an ongoing process for sure. I mean, we still have little snags here and there, and I think that will continue. I think honestly, for 4 people who have spent thousands of hours together, things have been surprisingly smooth. Actually, I don't think I could spend thousands of hours with anybody, my girlfriend, without some serious something. So no, it's been amazing, and like JD said, kind of. This need to communicate with outsiders and with each other has created a better idea. Because I know I'll be sitting at home and I'll come up with an idea and then I'll go in and I'll tell it to JD, Andres, Anne. And half the time it's like, no, that idea is terrible. And half the time they're like, that could be okay. And then we refine it a little bit and then we kind of toss it around, and that's kind of like the snowball, right? And that's how the process has gone. So
it's just like that. There were days where somebody would come up with an idea and somebody builds on top of it. And then that process continues.
Accumulates.
Exactly. And you end up with something, well, it's very good.
Yeah. Okay. And let's go back to the IMBA program at National Chengchi University. You know that NCCU is one of the leading schools in Taiwan, and certainly the IMBA program has received a lot of the acclaims, and then people have praised the program. And did you think, after being in the program for 2 years, did you think the program itself, accommodating students from all over the world, really gave you the opportunities of learning not just business theory on one side, but also in terms of putting the two things together, application and theory together, to understand really how the business world evolves and operates?
It hasn't. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the IMBA program where all of us met, and it being international was one of the key things, and it having professors that come from the outside that have taught abroad as well was very important. We had professors that really helped us with the project, with contacts, with the idea, giving us feedback. So, and they were very open to us going to the university, to the program for help.
Good.
And giving us a hand.
Okay.
That was a very important thing.
I'd say the IMBA really created the atmosphere that enabled our success.
Okay.
And like JD said, the professors have been amazingly supportive. A lot of our crowdfunding success was from professors who reached out to their networks and helped us fundraise.
Okay.
In terms of strict bridging the gap between knowledge and practical, I think the IMBA still has a few steps to take in that direction. Okay. I think that could be said for any program for sure.
Yeah, of course.
But I know for sure, we came out with a very good theoretical understanding, finance, statistics, accounting, everything. But you don't get the holistic view till you go and do it. And I don't think a lot of people get the chance to go and really do it like we have. So I think that'll be a good... but actually, I think the program, seeing our success, seeing our journey, seeing how good this has been for our development, will do small things like this a lot in the future. Exactly. Which will create a better program, which I think will be great for NCCU.
And let me ask you, were there another team participating in the Hult Prize competition, or just the Impact?
There was one more team from NCCU.
Okay. But undergraduate or graduate level?
Graduate level, from the IMBA program as well.
Really? Another team? Okay.
They
friends of ours.
Were able to go. They were able to go to the regionals in San Francisco, but they didn't go to the next round.
Okay, good. And we're now, coming towards the end of the program. I do have 2 questions to ask the 2 of you. First, the Hult Prize is now announced. The money has been, allocated, and you guys, are beginning to set up the operational mandates, the, mechanism. And let me ask the 2 of you, what's next for the 2 of you? After, IMBA program and also after the Hult Prize. Do you, think about what you want to do, next? Or is it something that you think Impact will be sustaining and you really want to build, your career on this? JD?
What we want to see is thousands of players in places that need them. We have this is not just a 1-year project.
No.
It's, a lot of people ask us about a project, but it's not a project specifically with a beginning and an end. Okay. We see it as something continuous. We're building our social enterprise, and that's what we're taking the time right now to build an organization that can operate and sustain itself for many years to come and have that impact that we seek in the countries that we target.
Okay. Taylor?
And more than that, I mean, when you said sustainability really matters to us. I think what we're really trying to do is create an organization that even if it doesn't take our model, keeps responding to market needs for education.
Okay.
I think our model, building physical spaces, the investment, is great in the current atmosphere, but we really want to make kind of an education organization that can move into the future, maybe do something digital based on smart, like responsive to market needs.
Good.
This is not a finite time span thing. We want this to be something that really provides tangible benefits to people.
Okay, and finally, if there are young people, younger students who are watching the program today, and they say, "Hey, I want to be in that competition," it sounds very challenging. What would be that word of advice that you would give to these people? Taylor?
I'd say do it 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be one of the most valuable experiences you'll ever have.
Okay, what would be some of the things they need to prepare for?
Well, thousands of hours of work, I would say. But I think Taiwanese students are very hardworking, unlike people like us from Canada.
No.
So I honestly think students here would be well prepared.
Okay.
And they would be well advised to go and just to do it. Yeah,
okay.
It'll be eye-opening.
JD?
Well, it's a life-changing opportunity.
Okay.
And just going through it, even if you do not win, just the process itself changes you. And that's good, you grow. So I would tell people not to be afraid of the challenge. 21,000 teams or more probably this year. It sounds very daunting.
Yes.
But it's about just jumping in the water.
First step.
That first step, that small decision, and it can have a huge impact.
Good. It's truly been a delight to have the two of you on the program today. I want to wish you and the rest of your team all the best in future personal and professional endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. Thank you.